Are you struggling to build a practical wardrobe with your sewing? If so, I'm sharing today with you how to plan and sew a practical wardrobe transitioning from summer into fall. If you're interested, let's get started. Hi sewing friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Polly and this is the Sewing Edit, where we talk all about sewing and styling a handmade wardrobe. To be honest, today's topic was not really planned in my agenda for today, but I had a very interesting conversation with a friend of mine this week about sewing a practical wardrobe, and she was sharing with me her struggles about how she always gets overwhelmed and very excited from the social media on sewing patterns and also beautiful fabrics with beautiful prints, and she ends up always sewing something that is not very practical, and when she has to go to the grocery shop or she has to take the kids to the park, she doesn't really have a lot of choice in her wardrobe. So she was asking me, how do you go about it? How, especially coming from summer into fall, how do you go about deciding what to sew next? And we had a really interesting discussion, and I thought, you know what, I think this is very interesting and informative and useful for people who might have similar struggles. So I thought I'll make a video today, and this is what I'm doing. Of course, this is my approach. I'm sure other people might have different opinion on how they build a practical wardrobe, especially in the transitioning season as it is now. I would love to hear what you guys, how you go about it. So please comment below and let me know how you go about it. But today I'm going to share my 5 tips on how I'm approaching the subject on creating a sewing plan, especially again going into fall. Before I do that, I will quickly share with you what I'm wearing today. This is one of my favorite summer dresses that I have made it into a transitional piece. I will show you later in the video how I've done that. But this is my Josie dress from McCalls. It's McCalls8030, and it's made from this stretch cotton. I bought this cotton in the Suti in Australia probably 2 years ago, and I've sewn it I think a year ago. It's a grown-on sleeve, very flattering new version of a shirt dress really. Okay, let's talk about how I plan and sew a practical wardrobe for a transitional period. Well, before I tell you any of the tips, I think a prerequisite has to be that you go through your wardrobe, see what you have a clear overview. I actually did a video series about my own wardrobe transitioning actually from winter into spring, but the same principles apply in transitioning from from summer into fall. So go have a look at it. I think there are some useful information from clothes through accessories through shoes. So go and have a look what I have there. But really, when you're approaching your sewing plans, in my opinion, you have to have a clear view of what you currently have. So you don't end up with, there's nothing wrong with creating doubles of a certain silhouette or a certain style, but I think it is good idea to have a clear vision of what you can create new in your wardrobe before you start repeating things that you might get bored of having the same t-shirt over and over again. Okay, with that said, let's move on to the first tip. The first one is actually creating layers. Well, into spring and summer, we kind of remove layers. We try to keep everything light and airy, I would say. And in fall time, we try to add layers. And by layers, what I mean is you could stack clothes together. For example, you can use some of your summer clothing and bring in some of your fall clothing into your overall look. In this outlook that you see at the moment, what I could do to create a bit more of a autumn look with this dress, for example, I could put a long sleeve shirt top with a more of an open neckline, or I can put tights as I have done. And you will see in a video that I have put added tights on my bottom side. So this way, when you think in terms of layering your overall look, you can come up with an ideas of what to sew. For example, you could think of, do I wear tights? Are they useful for my wardrobe? If I have a lot of dresses, I could add a pair of different tights in my wardrobe. So maybe then you can look for a specific sewing pattern that can help you create the look that you're going after. Or do you have enough tops that have different necklines? So you can have a turtle neckline, you can have a high neck or a lower neck top with different sleeve lengths that you can combine. And when you think that way, you can come up with great ideas about what to sew, because maybe it might be a bit overwhelming in the beginning, but once you start going through your wardrobe, slowly you will build up a very practical wardrobe. Tip number 2 is adding texture into your overall look through your sewing. So texture could be adding a leather pants or leather jacket. You could add faux fur as a jacket or as a cardigan or as a vest. You could add texture. It could be quilted jacket. Quilted outwear at the moment is very trendy, and you could wear it. You can always insert it in any sewing pattern that you might consider sewing. So this is, I think, texture can really create a total overall look very different. I also would say for adding texture can be, you can knit a cardigan or a top. I'm not big on knitting, so I refrain from giving advice on the knitting department, but I would say if you're a knitter, you can knit yourself a lovely top which you can add with your leather pants, for example. As you probably have seen in my previous video, I talked about my pre-fall sewing plans. I am planning to add texture this year with leather. Last year I sewed a leather skirt that I absolutely love, and this year I'm planning to sew leather pants because I think they can be very useful, creating a little bit more interest in my pre-fall transitional period wardrobe, and also going into fall. My third tip would be to add structure to your overall practical wardrobe. That could be tailoring. If you're a person like me who likes to wear suit jackets, then that is a perfect example of what you could sew if you want to. Or doesn't necessarily need to be a tailored piece. It could be, you can bring structure in your look through, for example, tight cuffs, or cuffs at the bottom of your on your bottoms, or you could add structure here with a piece of belt, for example, or you could bring a structure with a structured cardigan. And through the lenses of adding structure, you can think what kind of sewing pattern or what kind of sewing project I would like to add for this year. Okay. The fourth one, I think it's something that a lot of people think about, and it's great. It's thinking about what kind of color palette you're choosing for the fall season, for more cooler season. I would say usually in the summer we usually wear very bright colors. You could of course wear bright colors in the winter, but I think they have to be a little bit more subdued. So I would wear my white pants. I have a pair of white jeans, for bright white jeans for summer, but I also have a little bit more creamy version of my jeans for the fall winter season. And this is a good example of where you can use bright colors but a little bit of a more subdued version to your overall look. You could also think, I mean, neutrals, you never go wrong with neutrals, and that's why I love sewing with neutral colors, because I can combine them with a lot of different colors. having said that, I do also like to add color in this fall season, especially with now, for example, I'm adding to my wardrobe some deep jewel colors, but they're really concentrated color palette, so that can also somehow relate to the cooler months, at least in my mind. So just think about color, adding color, or what kind of color you could work with going into the cooler months. And the last but not least important tip I would give you for when to plan and sew your transitional wardrobe into fall is think about accessories. Can you sew some accessories for your overall practical wardrobe? For example, you could add actually texture through a very nice over the shoulder nice bag. They're very trendy, and it's like a little pouch you can put over your shoulder. You can make it into leather as well, or you can make it into a quilted cotton, for example. Or you could actually add a scarf. Can you sew a scarf with your leftover fabric? For example, here this is a dress that has a very big overgrown sleeve, so it's very difficult to add a top to this. So I'm showing you, for example, I can add a lovely scarf to this look, and I'm creating a completely different look of this summer dress, really. So this is an example where you can think of what kind of accessories I can bring into my wardrobe to make it, you know, more versatile and also practical. You can also add a scrunchie. I mean, scrunchie creates a little bit of texture. It's very easy to sew, as you all know, and it's a practical piece to, you know, you can wear it on your wrist, or you can tie it in your hair, and you can create a new look with what you have at the moment. Okay, sewing friends, well, these are my top 5 tips for how to plan and sew practical wardrobe transitioning from summer into spring. As I said before, I would love to hear your opinion. This is my personal approach, and I hope that by sharing it I can help you with building an idea how to approach sewing plans going forward. But of course, this is not the only way, and I would love to hear your way of doing it. Please share it down below. And I just want to mention that for next week I have a very interesting video for you. It's one of the most requested topics on the channel here, so stay tuned. And until then, I hope you're all well. Please do like and subscribe to my channel if you find that information useful. Also, you can hit bell button so you know when I come up with new content. Until then, have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye!